Alright, before we get into this video, I have to say that I am for real sorry about how disjointed it is and how many audio issues there are. I had just had a baby when I started to make this video, so give me a break! What's up everyone and welcome back to the channel. It's Steve aka Bad Luck FPV and I am excited today to bring to you my review, build, and bash video for the GroundControlFPV Sky Yacht. Andrew aka Shoji FPV of GroundControlFPV took part in designing this frame and decided to send me one so that I can build with it. After having flown this already, I can say that I am excited to have it in my arsenal. Let me get you started with some main points about the frame design. The main talking points about it is that it is an H-style frame. I think it's also called a split X style frame, where basically two arms stem off from one point in the front and in the back. They say that this is to give it a smooth rotation on all axes. Some of the ideas with this frame are that it's meant to be for both freestyle and cinematic type flying. So that's a huge stress on cinematic characteristics and smooth flight characteristics. I know that Shoji, that likes to fly these, is a Sbang type of guy, and you know, that's all about keeping things flowing and moving and making it look trippy and visually appealing, I think. Is that what Sbang's about? It is for digital or analog. It says that it can fit a full air unit or the CADX Vista. It has a 3-point mounting design for the cinematic camera up front, which means that underneath the top plate here, you do have a screw that goes up into the bottom of the action cam. It comes with a carbon camera cage that can fit 19 to 20 millimeter cameras. I had to forego that because I have a 21 millimeter camera. Wham wham. You can build a stack in here. Well, I slammed mine, but that's another story for later. One of the first things that I was told about this frame is that it's sort of designed for beginners to have something that they can transfer those builds into. In that way, it has a lot of space on the inside and a lot of room for customization. It has a recessed bottom deck, so in its typical formation, it can house up to a 30 millimeter 3-high stack for optimal balancing. I went ahead and I slammed mine just because I like the flight characteristics of a slammed better, and I was a little bit bored. So I think I covered just about everything that I need to cover about this drone. All in all, I'm very happy with this frame. Shoji from Ground Control, thank you so much for sending this to me. Let's see how past me feels building into it. I'm obsessing right now, so I think I'm going to build up the basic structure on this thing. I was thinking a little bit more about the features on this that you need to hear about. In the bottom plate, you can see that there is a whole bunch of slotted holes, and that's because you can mount your stacks in 30 by 30 or 20 by 20 in a forward or a rearward position. So you can sort of balance out how the quad flies by moving your stack forward or backward. It is DJI Air Unit ready, which means that it will also fit a Vista and smaller. I'm going to be putting an analog build into it. It'll be getting a Panda RC 30 by 30 VTX in it instead. We'll be running Crossfire, a Diatone MambaFPV stack. I'm going to run 6S Emax Eco 2 1700 kV. So
if you're like me and you got all ambitious when you dumped all the parts out of the bag, but you need a tutorial, you're in luck, because Shoji has already made one and it's on the GroundControlFPV YouTube, and I'll provide a link
in the description. Unfortunately, these skids are a little bit too thick for any of the screws that I have for my motors, so I'm gonna have to get a whole new set of screws. Yeah, these are 9.5. I'll probably have to go up another millimeter to 10.5 so that these will go through the skids and into my motors. C'est la vie. haven't actually flown this yet, but I have one big concern, and it's that there is an absolute ship's worth of space in this stack. I think they call it the Yacht because it's got room for hose. What I am going to do, since I saw a picture of it, basically I'm going to move the bottom plate and the arms up and do a slammed formation on this thing. I think it's going to work out really nicely. It's going to raise the center of gravity to be closer to the battery. It just is a really good sign that this frame is augmentable and you can sort of make it your own way. It really, really, really is showing itself to be great for beginners because it was easy to install, it's augmentable, it's nice and simple. I haven't even flown this thing and I already love it. I'm going to go ahead and switch that orientation around and I'll see you when it's finished. So, I just finished switching this to the slammed orientation, and as you can see, it has a lot less space wasted on the inside of it. It doesn't have, it's a little bit more back heavy than it was before. Hopefully that will even out once I put a GoPro in it. Let me try that right now, actually. Well, and a battery. Let me try that right now, actually. So once it has both of those in there, it sort of can't pick a way that it wants to tip. So that's good. The center of balance is really nice. This just feels a lot better in hand. The considerations that you have to make, though, is that I did have to sort of extend my stack hardware so that it is sticking out a little bit using some nylon bolts. You no longer have the two standoffs here. I can measure this real quick and see what size standoffs you would need. You'd need a 17 millimeter standoff, which I think I'm going to try and find, or maybe I'll have to make one. But yeah, now it feels really, really nice. Just some practical advice about if you plan on doing the slammed formation like I have done here is that you have to flip these two plates, but not this one. And it looks like in the slammed formation, you're no longer going to be able to utilize the 20x20 stack in the rear bay, which might cause some problems with DJI or Vista users. It is my habit that I like to make things harder for myself, so everyone says that their Sky Yacht flies great with the 3-high stack. I was really happy to finally be back into a 3-high stack, and then I went ahead and put my VTX in the back anyway. In any case, though, it feels a lot neater. It feels a lot more condensed. It feels like my centers of gravity are going to be closer together. Honestly, I can't wait to fly it, but I do have to wait for a new Crossfire chip to come in before I can do that. I smell like baby milk and chicken shit. One consideration that you might have to make is that your camera cord is more than likely going to have to be lengthened. Another consideration is that once you add a 3D print for your action camera, the bolts that came with the kit won't be long enough to make it through the base of the 3D print into the standoffs below. So you'll probably need to go out and buy a good set of 12mm or 10mm M3s. In fact, what I would go do, if you're going to use the 3D printed feet and mount a 3D printed GoPro mount, you should probably just go out and buy, like 25 10mm M3s, and that should have you set for all of the extra voltage that you'll need. If you're like me, you have a ton of hardware sitting around, but if you're a beginner, you might need to go out and buy some stuff. Because, the 3D printed feet didn't allow for even the longest bolts that came with my Eco 2s, which I believe were 9.5mm. Before I did the slammed orientation, the base plate sits beneath the arms and is actually recessed through the two other bottom plates. If you're running a capacitor, then you're going to have to consider the fact that its leads might, or whatever those are called, its posts, its leads, cannot touch the carbon fiber. Otherwise, it will start a fire. But that's an easy consideration to make. Just tape them up, or even heat shrink them. If you're going to do the slammed orientation, then these 4 standoffs are going to need to be replaced with a 17mm standoff. A lot of this review might not be useful for the typical user because I went and changed the whole orientation, but hopefully more than enough information is better than not enough information. That's just that's the bare minimum that I tried to go for in my videos. One thing that I really like about it is how light it is, and I think that's because it's designed for Sbang. But the only other bummer is that when you have it in this formation, it does interfere with the 20 by 20 stacks in the back. So if you're doing the slammed formation, there's no way to mount a VTX with the hardware in the back. They might be able to fix that problem at ground control by moving this a little bit farther back, but it would ruin the symmetry between the two plates, and I think it's probably designed for an air unit or a Vista. Oh yeah, one cool thing about this build is that I don't even feel a need to bring it into beta flight and change anything, because I didn't unsolder basically anything when I transferred it over. That I should just be able to arm this and fly it. I'm going to do a little bit of tuning, obviously, but that's kind of cool, isn't it? Very, very tight tolerances on everything, so in terms of motor spacing, there's no wasted space at all. I can't say much more about it. I'm gonna go slap a new crossfire receiver in this thing and it should be good to fly. I'm gonna take it out someplace easy and do what it's designed for, which is the Sbang. I'm not very good at it, so. Alright, we are out here in the field in one of my all-time favorite spots, and I'm going to show you a spot called Pullman. It is a training ground for linemen learning how to climb power poles and repair U.S. infrastructure. Important work, y'all. Anyway, I'm going to Sbang it. I'm going to smash it and bang it. If anyone understood that reference, please hit me up in the comments. GoPro's recording. Time to sendy. Look at that. I'm just going to take it easy for a second and make sure that it even flies. Holy rates. How do you Sbang? I am not a Sbang pilot, y'all. Whoa, I got up really high just then. No prop wash at all. Wow, 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 wow. Hey, that was pretty cool. Motors aren't too hot. I like that a lot. It's really, really, really light compared to my other quad. Compared to the Atlas 5 V2 from FPV. This is like a featherweight. I'm at a loss for what to do with this. This is giving me sort of like a crisis with my flying style, because what do I do with a quad with such different characteristics? I gotta send some more packs at it and figure it out. I gotta fly this some more. So I'm gonna fly it with the messed up props just to see what the flight characteristics are when it's a little bit gnarred up. Why am I sweating so much? It is hot out here, y'all. Oh, it's in my eye. What have I done? Now that it's got a little bit of gnar in the props, I can see a little bit of a tuning issue here. That I'm getting some bobble. Sort of in general, this thing flies really intuitively. That felt good. Guys, just in general, I think that I am having fun. That is the sign of a good frame here. It feels like it's not even a review of the frame. It's more of just like a first impressions of the frame, because I love this thing already. And so far, I'm super happy with the way that it flies. I love that it's really light. It's very responsive. It makes for a very smooth and predictable flight characteristic. Maybe that bobble that I'm feeling is a little bit because it's slammed, but I think that I'll be able to tune that out. I don't know, man. I think I might just have to call it and throw some flight footage here, because there's not much else to say. I don't want to say this, but I hope that I crash, just because I think one of the things about this that isn't perfect for me is that I'm a basher, man. Like I concrete and bandos and stuff, and I don't know if this thing can hold up. So maybe I'll have to do a future review on that, because it does have a little bit thinner arms. I love its flight characteristics. We're gonna have to see how it holds up against a bando. Man, unless anything comes up, the rest of this is gonna be flight video, and then I'll see you at the desk. I love this frame. I love it. Well, we have our first crash. It looks like nothing really crazy happened. Just some dirt in the motors, but my camera did unplug. But otherwise, everything else is fine. Real quick, thanks so much for watching if you've made it this far. My thoughts about this after having flown with it. I'm stupid for in the field. I didn't think to mount my battery vertically so that it would clear my props, because the issue that came up is that in really hard bank turns or really hard catches, these props tend to bend upward a little bit, and it was getting the edges of my battery, which luckily destroyed the props before it destroyed the battery, but it does present a problem for clearance. In the field, I thought that I'd have to put like a riser on it, but you are, with the slammed configuration, limited to running your batteries vertically, I do believe, unless you got some really narrow, like 1100s or something like that. It held up in a crash. It has amazing flight characteristics. It flew amazingly. That might be something about the peanut butter jelly props, but I was very impressed with the very smooth flight characteristics. I love how zippy it is. You have a lot of authority and control over what you're doing and where the quad is going. since it is kind of lightweight, when you lob it up into the air, it does take a second to like arc out and come back down. But that's kind of fun. It's just a different style of flying. You're going to want to be on the throttle a lot with this, and it's lightweight enough that you still get pretty good flight times for doing that. Man, I had a lot of fun. Thanks again to GroundControlFPV for hooking me up with this drone to review. If you guys like this video, please hit the thumb, hit the thumb, and subscribe. Keep your karma up to ward off the bad luck. Stay up, stay flying. We'll see you in the next video.